Hello, my beautiful people. Today we are going to be talking about victim blaming. This video is part of a series for the Sydney Feminists, a group of passionate women and men working towards social change through media education. Victim blaming is when a victim is held fully or partially responsible for a crime or some sort of harm that befalls them. This happens anywhere and everywhere in society. People living in poverty are seen to be lazy and unmotivated. People living with mental illness are presumed to be making up their disease. People who have just been robbed are seen as making bad choices around the safety of their property. And domestic violence victims are often asked why they stayed with their abusers. Victim blaming is most common in cases of sexual assault and rape. Victims are often asked to quantify what they were doing before and after the crime, their choices surrounding the crime, what they were wearing, where they were, why they were there, why their story is inconsistent, what they were drinking, why they were drinking, if they did anything to provoke their attacker, why they wore that lipstick, if they've had sex with that person before, if they had sex with that person after, if they're sure they didn't really enjoy it, why they sent that text, if they made this whole thing up. Wait. What were we talking about again? Victim blaming is so endemic in our society that 1 in 5 Australians believe that a woman is partly responsible for a rape if she was drunk. The idea that women can avoid unwanted male attention is endemic in our society. If we wear certain clothes, if we behave in a specific way, if we restrict certain activities, then we will protect ourselves from bad things happening to us. This is what we are taught from the word go. It's just about safety and responsibility, my friend said. I mean, you wouldn't walk into a bar filled with criminals knowing they were criminals. So why would you do things knowing they would put you in danger? But wait, rape doesn't happen in a bar. It happens out there in the real world. Anywhere and any time. It happens regardless of what the victim was wearing. It happens regardless of what the victim was doing before the attack. It happens regardless of what the victim's response was to the attack. So what you're trying to say is that victim blaming doesn't actually help victims? No, it doesn't. And it actually does more harm than good. I'll show you why. In a sexual assault case against Brock Allen Turner, his victim read him a letter. In it, she detailed some of the questions she had been asked during the trial. How old are you? How much do you weigh? What did you eat that day? Well, what did you have for dinner? Who made dinner? Did you drink with dinner? No, not even water? When did you drink? How much did you drink? What container did you drink out of? Who gave you the drink? How much do you usually drink? Who dropped you off at this party? At what time? But where exactly? What were you wearing? Why were you going to this party? What did you do when you got there? Are you sure you did that? But what time did you do that? What does this text mean? Who were you texting? When did you urinate? Where did you urinate? With whom did you urinate outside? Was your phone on silence when your sister called? Do you remember silencing it? Really, because on page 53, I'd like to point out that you said it was set to ring. Did you drink in college? You said you were a party animal. How many times did you black out? Did you party at frats? Are you serious with your boyfriend? Are you sexually active with him? When did you start dating? Would you ever cheat? Do you have a history of cheating? What do you mean when you said you wanted to reward him? Do you remember what time you woke up? Were you wearing your cardigan? What color was your cardigan? Wait, what were we talking about again? Exactly. When we focus on questioning the victim, we forget that we're talking about a crime and someone who committed the crime against the victim, which must have happened in Brock Allen Turner's case. The judge sentenced him to 6 months in jail, fearing that a longer sentence would have a severe impact on him. The impact that Turner had on his victim did not matter. Victim blaming absolves perpetrators of their actions. It places responsibility partially or wholly on the victim, which translates to the victim getting little to no justice for the crimes enacted upon them. Ever heard of secondary victimization? It happens to most, if not all, victims of sexual assault. Not only do they have to live through the trauma of their assault, they have to live through the trauma of being questioned repeatedly, of having to repeat that the assault did in fact happen, of having to prove that this wasn't their fault, of having to defend that this shouldn't have happened to them. And sadly, this isn't even the worst of the effects of victim blaming. Victim blaming absolves perpetrators of their actions. It places responsibility partially or wholly on a victim, which means women who have been raped are sometimes jailed for their own rape, which means women who have been raped are sometimes physically attacked or have had acid thrown on them because they are seen as responsible for their own rapes. And look, I know what you're thinking. People have to be held responsible for their actions and safety. So, let's play the responsibility game! And now for the million-dollar question. In a case of sexual assault, who is responsible for the rape if she offered him a foot rub before he raped her? I know this one. The rapist? She wore a skirt and then got raped. She wore a skirt. Is it the rapist? She sent him text messages before or after the rape. It must be the rapist. She said no and then got raped. Ooh, this is a tough one. The rapist? She didn't fight back, but still got raped. I'm going to say the rapist. You're right! Rape will always be the fault of the rapist. Look, ultimately we need to understand that the reason why we victim blame is because victims threaten our ideas of the world around us. We want to believe in a safe world, a just world, a world where nothing needs to change because good things happen to good people and bad things to bad people. So we become complacent in crimes against our humanity. We justify bad things happening to good people by holding those people responsible for those bad things. But what if we didn't do that? What if, instead, we changed the world so that these bad things didn't happen? And how do we do that? I honestly don't know. But I do know that putting a stop to victim blaming is a step forward.